The day began like every other day for Amara, but before the sun disappeared behind the crowded streets, her entire life would be turned upside down. She had no idea that the wealthy businessman standing in front of her food stall was about to see something in her that nobody else had ever noticed. To the customers, she was simply the beautiful young woman who sold delicious food beneath a faded red umbrella. To Amara, every plate she served meant another day of survival. But that afternoon, one unexpected customer would walk into her life carrying a secret that could change everything. If you believe that kindness can create second chances and that one good person can change another person's life, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this one. Amara had been selling food at the roadside market for almost 7 years. Every morning before the streets became crowded, she would wake up in the tiny room she shared with her younger brother Daniel, prepare rice, spicy chicken, fried plantains, and vegetables, and carry everything to her small wooden stall. Her clothes were simple, her shoes were worn, and her hands were often marked by tiny burns from cooking, but there was always a quiet warmth in her smile. She had learned long ago that beauty could attract attention, but kindness was what made people remember you. Her life had never been easy. Their parents had died when Amara was young, leaving her to raise Daniel while still trying to finish school herself. She gave up her education without telling anyone how much it hurt. Instead, she worked wherever she could, eventually saving enough money to start her food stall. Every coin mattered. When business was good, she bought medicine for Daniel's asthma. When business was bad, she sometimes ate only one meal so that her brother could have two. Despite her struggles, Amara had a strange habit. Whenever an elderly person came to her stall and could not afford a full meal, she quietly gave them extra food. She never announced it. She never asked for praise. She simply believed that hunger did not become less painful just because someone was poor. One hot afternoon, a black luxury SUV stopped near the market. A sharply dressed businessman stepped out, looking completely out of place among the colorful umbrellas and noisy food stalls. His name was Adrian Cole, a wealthy property developer known throughout the city for his massive construction company. He had come to inspect a piece of land nearby, but a sudden traffic problem had forced him to stop at the market. Adrian was irritated. He had spent the entire morning dealing with business problems, and now he had an important meeting in less than an hour. Hungry and frustrated, he walked toward the nearest food stall. That was when he noticed Amara. She did not notice his expensive watch or the car waiting behind him. She simply smiled and asked what he would like to eat. Adrian ordered a plate of food and watched as she prepared it with surprising care. While handing him the plate, she noticed an old man standing several steps away, counting a few coins in his trembling hand. Amara immediately understood that he could not afford a meal. Without hesitation, she placed another full plate on the man's table and told him to eat. Adrian watched silently. He had seen people perform kindness when cameras were around. But there were no cameras here. Nobody was watching Amara except him. Then something even more surprising happened. When Adrian offered to pay for both meals, Amara refused to take extra money. She explained that she did not help people because she wanted to be rewarded. Adrian was stunned. In his world, almost everything had a price. Yet this struggling woman had just turned down money that could have helped her immensely. Before leaving, Adrian asked her how long she had been running the stall. She smiled and said that one day she hoped to own a small restaurant where poor workers could eat without feeling ashamed. Adrian nodded, but he said nothing more. The next morning, Amara arrived at her stall and discovered that something was terribly wrong. The landlord had placed a notice on the wooden structure. The market area was being cleared for redevelopment, and the vendors had only 2 weeks to leave. Amara's heart sank. This stall was everything she had. Without it, Daniel's medicine would be impossible to afford. For the next several days, she worked harder than ever. She woke earlier, cooked more food, and stayed until late at night. But every day, the fear inside her grew stronger. Then, on the final afternoon, Adrian returned. He wasn't wearing his expensive suit this time. He walked toward her stall carrying a folder. Amara assumed he had come to collect the property himself. She prepared herself for the worst. Instead, Adrian placed the folder on the table and told her that he had purchased the entire market development project. Amara stared at him in disbelief. But that wasn't the real surprise. Adrian had discovered that the redevelopment would force dozens of struggling vendors out of work. So he changed the entire plan. Instead of demolishing the market, he decided to build a modern community food center that would give the vendors permanent, affordable spaces. And he wanted Amara to manage it. Amara could barely believe what she was hearing. Adrian explained that he had spent years building businesses and chasing profits, but watching her feed someone who could not pay had reminded him of the kind of person he wanted to become. He offered her a fully equipped restaurant space, business training, and a scholarship fund for Daniel. Amara broke down in tears. For the first time in years, she wasn't crying because life had taken something from her. She was crying because someone had finally given her a chance to dream again. Months later, the old roadside market had transformed into a beautiful community food center. Amara's small restaurant became one of the busiest places in the neighborhood. But she never forgot where she came from. Every Friday, she served free meals to elderly people, struggling workers, and children who had nothing to eat. Adrian continued visiting, not as her wealthy investor, but as her friend. And something unexpected happened between them. Their friendship slowly became a bond built on respect, trust, and the shared belief that success meant little if it could not be used to help others. One evening, Amara stood outside her restaurant and looked at the sign above the door. Her name was written across it in bright letters. She remembered the tiny wooden stall, the long nights, the empty pockets, and the dreams she had once been too afraid to speak about. She finally understood that Adrian had not simply changed her life by giving her money. He had changed it by giving her something far more valuable, an opportunity to believe in herself again. And that was the greatest gift of all. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe so we can continue bringing stories of hope and second chances to more people. Before the story ends, comment, "Kindness changes lives," if you believe one act of kindness can completely change someone's future. Because sometimes, the person standing quietly behind a simple food stall isn't waiting for someone to save them. They are simply waiting for someone to notice their courage, their kindness, and the dream hidden inside their heart. Amara was once just a beautiful food vendor struggling to survive. But one unexpected encounter reminded her that a difficult beginning does not have to decide the ending of your story. Sometimes, all it takes is one person who believes in you, and one chance to begin again.